Are you having any guests to the stream?
This isn't really a guess. I think I'm bad at scheduling shit. Probably another thing. All my guests are probably annoying to shit sometimes. Like there was one guest where I was on point. Like I did it like the day before, but then I was like 30 minutes before this one. I'm like, so yeah. So I'm not gonna show my face. We're just gonna leave it like this, y'all. So you can kind of see we're not getting started yet. We're just kind of pretending to start, and then we'll start later.
Okay.
I'll come to the focus. I was gonna say the loss. You'll know why I came up with that title when I go into it.
Mm.
I need to get some more live streams in, so if I can finish this before 9:30 or 10, that's pristine. And then get a couple of episodes of at least two. For fuck's sake, I can't get like a single. I mean, this is the problem though. When I come back here, by the time I'm done with all the stuff I need to, like tomorrow, I won't have to do anything. Oh, I have to look here. It's I'm kind of teeter-tottering because I have to be able to see the properties. So it doesn't necessarily behoove me to go back so early because I'm trying to eventually stay here.
Are you? Give me this.
All right, let me turn on a light or
Take a trial.
something that's not too big. I think so. Here, turn on that one. And that was. Oh. Oh boy. I should probably send out a link. That'd probably be smart.
Maybe. Ow. I'm sorry. Let
me send it out. Okay. All right, yeah, we're pretty much going to start this up super quick. What's funny is sometimes I'll have like streams will have like 14 people in. Then some streams I'll just be talking to myself the whole damn time. So really, it's the short streams are just content that people can go back and watch over and over again, or can go back and watch. But the channel's got to build. What's funny is like I wouldn't really be willing to have a channel too big. Like I would want something like between
something under the radar, kind of.
Pretty much. So like maybe between 100 and 1,000. It's probably I think that's ideal for me because you'd be surprised how far this information spreads. And the kind of content that I've created so far. Oh, this one was yesterday. See, this is 9 views. That's actually pretty good. 14.
I was like, you see me as bad because you're like,
There's a whole bunch of them.
I believe it. I have the glasses on.
No.
No.
I think you'll be right.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're really just doing content. I'm doing content that's largely just. Well, actually, I think I got one. She's here. I got-
Well, as long as you're not asking me to read anything, I think I'll be okay.
The apartment just sent me something about it. Me? Oh, surprising.
Hola. Hola. Where's Stinky Girl?
I'm gonna give her a link real quick. I don't know if she's doing a stream right now, but I haven't even started. I'm just kind of. That is the link. All right. So while I'm kind of just sitting. Oh, by the way, thanks for being patient with me. I'm very extemporaneous. If you've learned, I kind of I'll try to get better with that and try to message a day in advance. Oh, oh, no problem. So I'll probably try to in the future when I'm doing these things because I plan on doing streams with a lot of different content creators. Um, it'd be cool if you could do one. If you did one with my I forgot her name, Mama Rada or something like that. That'd be a cool stream. I wonder if you can edit the title after the fact. Did it work? Ah, it didn't work. Oh, damn it. That's right. It didn't work. Oh, no problem. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Um, I'll do some current events and then I'll go into Jolly Heretics video, Edward Dutton. So his video, I'm gonna gauge how long it is. All right, so his video is only 30 minutes long. I thought it was longer than that. Okay, so after this long pause, I'm gonna do some current events. Oh, I cracked something really good. I don't know if you're supposed to crack like that, but it actually felt good. All right, so current events. So for current events, I'm gonna make a banner, and it's gonna display this event that's going on. I'll do that in a second. All right, so for current events, I think I heard the so keep your eyes on the AZ audit. Um, for those who are politically inclined, I don't know what's going on with it now. I got some messages and stuff on my phone from different people I follow, so I'll kind of just read it off from there. Let's see. You need some. Oh, that's fine. They're gonna come back and review it. They're gonna come back and see the content anyway. That's all right. That's not good. I don't know why it's doing that. Can you hear me? Yeah, I don't got any reason to be quiet now. Silent, and it's not working. Okay. What? Is that a cookie?
Yeah, Papa.
No, no. Can you give me some? I put a water bottle in the refrigerator. Can you give me? Let me know if you can hear me now. It's probably I don't always project. Sometimes I just use. See, I have two different options because I'm a guy. I can use the treble voice, which is just what is that? The falsetto kind of, but then I kind of let it rumble, which it's kind of I don't know. All right. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm gonna mute and unmute. So, not really a fan of Bitcoin, but from what I hear, Bitcoin is crashing. Went down 12%. Um, NBC announced that it canceled the Golden Globes. Let me see if I can get that on the screen real quick. Great. So it says Golden Globes 2022 canceled on NBC as HEPA struggles to reform to Hollywood. Why it matters that NBC canceled the 2022 Golden Globes? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You have a bunch of middle class people watching upper class people get rewards for having more money.
Middle class must be nice.
It's well, I mean, what should have been the middle class? I mean, you have presidents that basically sold that out, but I won't go too far with that right now.
Okay.
All right, so I covered one event, and it looks like that's actually a thing. This is 2 days ago. The Golden Globes is being canceled. That's a big deal. Looks like Hollywood's getting getting choked out slowly. Let's see. I'm looking for something else. So with the whole gas stations running out of gas, I'm pretty sure y'all heard about that. Let me put that. Alright, so you got Fox, the Center Square reports, and there's no gas shortage. Oh, there's one that says there's no gas shortage in the U.S. That's interesting. I'm gonna click that. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Hey, my sound keeps cutting out. Oh. What if I kick myself? Well, all right, so you should be able to hear me now. Let me know if you can hear me. I think it changes. So if you kick yourself out and put yourself back in, it resets some of the stuff, the settings. So Forbes says, and this is as of May 12, 2021, by Tim McConnell, the largest gas. I'm pretty sure you all know that the largest gasoline pipeline on the U.S. East Coast remained closed on May 12th after a May 8th cyber attack on its owner, Colonial Pipeline. What I've heard is people say Russian spies. I don't believe it's Russian spies. It's, people are saying there's a lot of different. Well, that's the main one I've heard from a friend in a press conference. May live in the U.S. So someone's arguing that there isn't a shortage, there isn't a supply problem. And they're arguing that there's not a supply problem because, let's see, he says he or she, here's a he.
One of my cousins posted on Facebook something that was from a quote unquote gas station worker saying that there was no gas shortage and it's people just trying to freak out other people, but I don't know. Tuna, stop.
That's a good idea, GM. It's like a godlike idea right there. I'm listening to myself. Oh, it's working on my end. With the oh yeah.
Oh, we were buying all that formula last year.
Val said actually because of the pandemic, there's a lot of supply. I'm gonna put it back on the screen so y'all can see it. This is just random info. Well, it's not random info. It's pertinent to today, to the current times. But what I mean is, this is just a random source, so y'all have to take this with a grain of salt. So they're saying, or this person is saying, there isn't a supply problem. Because of the pandemic, there's a lot of supply, and because of the outage, it's less than a week. This is nothing that should be dangerous to consumers at the end of the day. Price increases. Meanwhile, okay. I don't know if that necessarily gives you the full reason, but I don't really have a reason to panic, honestly, myself. So if you want to come up, just I think I have a link. If not, I'm probably gonna get started with the uh, the rest, which is why the title of this video is why feminism disempowers women, and they had far more power under the patriarchy, which is oppressive. So keep that in mind, it's oppressive. I was gonna say something. Oh, so GM, you know my streams are super short. So this is what I've kind of come up with. So instead of just having me do super short streams all the time, I'm still gonna do super short streams. But if I do a short stream and it's covering a topic that is actually really cool and people like it, so what I can do is I can leave my computer on and I can give someone control over the stream. Just let someone take control over the stream, and then I can come back to it later. If that works, let me know, because I have a feeling that's probably what's going to happen. I'm only going to cover the video's only 30 minutes long, and I'm probably only going to do maybe 10-15 minutes worth of commentary. So if anyone else wants to come up, just put information that you will get. You'll get what?
Someone will take over your you'll get like hacked or something. I think that's
Oh.
what I mean.
Well, the thing is, I'm not just gonna let some random person do it. But oh yeah, I mean that's a good point. I was just saying that because you were teasing me because I only do short streams, and I still like doing short streams because it allows me to go and do other things in my life. But sometimes the 8-hour streams we do on yours is really addictive, and I actually end up wanting to stay and have the conversation. And I'm trying to create a better balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that's what you were saying, man. There's a couple of people that are trustworthy, and if someone wants to, they can. But if not, it's fine. Either way. I'm going to get started, though. What?
This is one of the videos you were watching.
Pretty much. He's not saying much.
What's the matter?
Make sure I'm not doing that. All right. I'm doing a dumbass test. Share audio. Man, look at that action. Oh, you know what? We're gonna do a teaser. You know how in the what is it, the comedy acts, they have a headliner?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do a headliner video.
Oh boy.
So this video is from Sank8 or something like that, and he has a video called "Why Marriage Doesn't Make Sense Anymore." And I'll play this. This will be the headliner.
Occur among the usual married, but also with traditional religions. Sometimes it is the woman who... I am seeing divorce occur among the usual married, but also with traditional religions. Sometimes it is the woman who initiates the divorce. Other times, it is the man. The desire for divorce has been said to be the effect of immorality, paganism, repression, bad male attributes, bad female attributes, and so on. But one thing every example has in common is that the person claims authorship of their lives. Imagine one's life is a story, and the person wants to control the pen writing that story. Sounds fair and good, but no one could alter the state of their marriage in most of history. Throughout time, arranged marriages were the norm. In fact, throughout most societies, people were not the author of their lives. Marriages tend to work when one of the couples does whatever the other wishes or both do what someone else wishes. One may claim authorship over their lives, and often that can lead to divorce if she decides to get more somewhere. If to claim authorship over their lives, then no relationship is possible. Most men surrender to love. They go along to get along. In long married couples, studies show that often the man does what the woman wants. It is the modern illusion that marriage is supposed to be about happiness. Households and vast family trees used to be revered. Aristocracy protected their line very carefully. But even the peasants were family centric.
Yes. I kind of agree with what you're saying that most people don't want the responsibility of the channel. So before I was doing this stuff, I actually had a channel for like acrobatics and stuff on the Strider channel. That's my casual channel, and I did videos, but it was like just having fun and stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely, it's a rigged game. Yada yada yada, etc. etc. I agree. Why it's probably best to just get married in spirit, basically. I was thinking about that recently and how it kind of complicates a lot of things. If you had guys who were boyfriend or guys with their girlfriends, and they just kind of happen to get together and have a kid, I'd imagine it wouldn't really cause too much complications in comparison. Oh, the dumbass thing happened with my volume. Shit. Get back up there. Bam. 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 Hear me. YouTube's a bunch of tyrants. You can tell them I said it. Get mad. I've spoken. I've spoken. The audio is fine.
No, because it kind of dipped a little bit.
It dipped?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, shit. Fuck, I got out too quick. You can hear the boot. Hear me? I'm testing my audio, y'all, just in case you're wondering what's going on.
Well, now it's like going.
Oh, that's... All right, so I'm gonna try. Hopefully this works. I hope y'all can hear me. Nice. You watching The Color Purple? How's that color purple for patriarchy? You got the abusive husband archetype. Was that the tyrannical father? And then and then you have the person who wouldn't clean their room. So then they have to meet the tyrannical father's fist. Then you got Django. He would be I guess he'd be no, he wouldn't be the prodigal son archetype. What the hell is wrong with my audio?
Hold on. Let me go grab my phone.
I'm gonna just leave my own stream. How about that? Give me. The batteries are perfectly fine, but the performance is low. That might be it. Now I did increase it. I increased the battery action. Are you okay with being in this? Or do you not
Oh,
want?
they can't see me.
I'll
I was
just.
too shaded out.
That's a good idea. What you said about the audio apps. Let me check. Bam. Bam. Okay, that's it. There's no other apps. Y'all just let me know if you can hear me, and I'm gonna go to YouTube and test it again one more time.
There's that one.
I didn't catch it. What was bad there? Blah 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 blah. Test. It cuts a little. Are you looking for it?
Mm-hmm.
Alpha Audios. I'm really trying to fix it. I don't know what's going on. Y'all give me a Y in the chat if you can hear it,
Oh,
and if it's not such a big deal. I'm gonna keep trying to fix it.
I see what good mother's talking about.
Which time? I'll start in a second, y'all. Test my audio. All right, let's see what he says. He says it seems to be good when you're talking. It is when you first start. It is low and muffled. Well, I'm gonna do my best. That's all I can say. I exited out of my own thing. Well, I'm gonna try one more thing. I'm gonna exit out of the whole browser. Okay, I'm back. This time it was fine, good, because I rage quit it. All right, so I'm gonna drop a link for. Well, GM said she's not gonna come up, or she's probably watching a movie. So, let's see. Is there Bob Ballard? Okay, before I drop the link for people to come up, I'm actually gonna cover what I'm gonna talk about first. That seems to make more sense. So. All right. So now that I believe y'all can hear me, I'm going to attempt to pivot and do what I said I was gonna do, which is nothing.
It's gonna sit here. We're just gonna sit here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely nothing going on.
Um, so this guy B Hazy, he has good stuff. I think y'all should subscribe to him if you're interested in the stuff we generally talk about. I'm gonna go to this dude's stuff. That's the video that I was covering. Nice, you know. Cat doing cat shit. All right, I'm gonna finish this one. Is doing it again. Great. That makes me happy. I don't know what to do there. It might be the power of the laptop, but the laptop's at full power.
More power. More power.
Go get my charger.
Maybe. Where do you put it?
By the TV.
Okay.
Yep. It's like a two. Oh my god. What movie? What are you watching, good mother? Well, I'm trying to fix the audio issue. All right, yeah, I know there's audio issues, but I'm gonna play the video anyway. I'm gonna get a power cord. I think that's the solution to this. So once I get a power cord, I'm gonna play the video. Yes. Nice, you brought food.
Maybe I'm having a really bad craving again.
What?
Cravings are like, I want something sweet, but like.
Absolutely. I like sweet stuff.
Super. There's like nothing in the house that I want to eat. It's all stuff I have to admit. I don't want to drive around right now.
You said you want to drive around.
I don't want to drive around right now.
Well done. All right. So it should be at the most optimal now because I stuck a coordinate. That'll get anyone going.
You're horrible.
Yep, I am. They'll have to accept me as I am. She said, "What the fuck?"
Your family. But even more, young couples often move in.
I'm sorry.
I am seeing divorce occur among the usual married, but also with traditional religions. Sometimes it is the woman who initiates the divorce. Other times it is the man. The desire for divorce has been said to be the effect of immorality, paganism, repression, bad male attributes, bad female attributes, and so on. But one thing every example has in common is that the person claims authorship of their lives. Imagine one's life is a story, and the person wants to control the pen writing that story. Sounds fair and good, but no one could alter the state of their marriage in most of history. Throughout time, arranged marriages were the norm. In fact, throughout most societies, people were not the author of their lives. Marriages tend to work when one of the couples does whatever the other wishes or both do what someone else wishes. One may claim authorship over their lives, and often that can lead to divorce if she decides to get more somewhere. If to claim authorship over their lives, then no relationship is possible. Most men surrender to love. They go along to get along. In long married couples, studies show that often the man does what the woman wants. It is the modern illusion that marriage is supposed to be about happiness. Households and vast family trees used to be revered. Aristocracy protected their line very carefully. But even the peasants were family-centric. It was not a nuclear family, but even more, young couples often moved in with their parents. For generations could be under one household. Marriage was a joining of two families, and that alone was seen as a major effect. There was no atomization. The heritage went on. Young sons would take over family farms and businesses or become king. The radical change has not been a marriage or sexual mores, but the complete abolishment of heritage. No one cares about the family line. A woman having kids from multiple fathers would never have been permitted back then. Why? It would destroy the family line. Marriages worked because there was a family line, and marriage was seen as an extension of that. Today, marriage is legally and metaphorically seen as a contract of consensus. One could describe it as people duct taped together. People did not tolerate single mothers and whores because of the family line. For proof of how revered the family line was, consider the bastard. In Shakespeare, the bastard played most of the villains. The bastard was an outcast. It is not a coincidence that the abolishment of the family line has disrupted reproduction rates to below replacement levels. When the family line was intact, people had many children. The family line went on and spread. For over a century, women have used love as something men to surrender, so she claims authorship over her life. Curiously, young women today are now even throwing out their charade of love and expect men to obey anyway. I have tried to tell them that attacking romance will not be helpful to their long-term plans. They do not listen and wonder why they are alone. It is important how we define a successful marriage. Is a long-lasting marriage a success? Not if it produces little children and gives the man an early grave. A successful marriage should leave the earth with more people than when the married couple was born. A successful marriage should have some sort of wealth to pass down to heirs. Even a poor old farm. A successful marriage should create a family line.
I'm moving to a different room. Hold on. What? Don't do that. Back in a second, y'all.
Now you're in the stream.
I'm back.
Terrified.
I know my audio works now. Right. Well, I don't need this shit anymore. So shut the fuck up, Jolly. Piece of shit computer. I decided my laptop doesn't work well with live streams. But that's okay because you're all adults and you can fuck off on your own time. No, I'm just kidding.
You're horrible.
I'm just making a joke. All right.
Oh, I need to go turn off that light.
Oh, they'll see you.
No, you won't. I'll see the back of my head.
It's not gonna reach Mad Max level, man. You gotta think about how many people were around in Mad Max. That's what people don't really get that reality. Yeah, you're about to sit on my cookie, I bet.
If I sit on it, can I eat it?
No. So I'm gonna play the rest of that video as soon as I get it up. That's what she said. I know y'all were thinking that. Why'd you go it on this thing again?
Because that's where you logged into YouTube.
It's just gonna show me a bunch of fucking ads now.
Mm-hmm.
Christ. Lovely. I fucking hate ads. I don't know why. I just burn inside every time I see them. Boom. 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 Bam. That's how you make the magic happen. And bam. Oh, shit. And we're going to start somewhere in the middle.
For proof of how revered the family line was, consider the bastard. In Shakespeare, the bastard played most of the villains. The bastard was an outcast. It is not a coincidence that the abolishment of the family line has disrupted reproduction rates to below replacement levels. When the family line was intact, people had many children. The family line went on and spread. For over a century, women have used love as something meant to surrender, so she claims authorship over her life. Curiously, young women today are now even throwing out their charade of love and expect men to obey anyway. I have tried to tell them that attacking romance will not be helpful to their long-term plans. They do not listen and wonder why they are alone. It is important how we define a successful marriage. Is a long-lasting marriage a success? Not if it produces little children and gives the man an early grave. A successful marriage should leave the earth with more people than when the married couple was born. A successful marriage should have some sort of wealth to pass down to heirs, even a poor old farm. A successful marriage should create a family line. This means the modern successful marriages are bunk. There is no wealth to pass down. No children aside from a replacement or two. And no family line. So having one in the couple claim authorship of their lives does not help. The successful marriages appear to neither claim authorship. They let family, religion, or something else be the author. It is this non-authorship that is declared to be non-freedom. So when a feminist or someone says she needs more freedom, she wants more power to be an author in her life. It is true that women were controlled back then, but it is also true that men were controlled as well. As today we may protest this non-authorship, the results cannot be denied. In non-English countries, we can see some of this still in effect. In China, the family line is so cherished that they are willing to kill their own daughters in order to have male heirs. In America, Mormonism is growing by leaps and bounds because of the reverence toward the family line. It is not a coincidence that one of the largest genealogical research libraries exists in a Mormon church. A common modern delusion is a belief that creativity means the absence of controls, of constrictions. Rather, creativity was the opposite. Mozart's education was very controlled, very constricted, and steeped in mathematics and humanities.
But all this heat and pressure created diamonds. A good poet knows the mathematics behind the music and how language is constructed. Bad poets only expel their feelings like gas. From working out to achieving new goals, to excellent painting,
poetry, or writing. It all depends on definite controls. If someone went into a gym and said, I will become the author of my own body, and began doing one exercise and then another with no sense, he would be thought mad. It is the same with our minds. If you read comic books, you will be stupider than someone who read Plato. In order to go anywhere in life, one must push, and to push means constrictions. It is well documented that children prefer order to chaos. In dating and love, there is confusion because there is no system, no controls. Nothing. Courtship is dead. The harder rules we impose on ourselves, the happier we become. The key to improving life is to improve your standards for yourself. When someone acts in who they are content. A painter who paints is content. But if the painter wants money or something else and becomes a banker, he becomes unhappy despite getting what he wants. When we let what we want interfere with who we are, we get bent. In order to solve the marriage problem, we need to ask, who is marriage? Instead of what I want in marriage. I expect everyone to disagree with this, but that is because people still believe relationships happen. No, people do not even see one another. They are in a relationship with a want and are pursuing it. But wants are fickle. They change and multiply. This is why women are never satisfied. It is because they are in love with wants, not men.
Most energy drinks are awful. Are you like me where you need to wake up in the morning?
It's the loudest thing ever.
Let me read the comments. I just had technical issues. Yeah, I appreciate y'all trying to help. When you try live streams, or if you try it in the future, you're gonna notice that issues just kind of fly out of the corner everywhere,
Well,
and you kind of just gotta work on the fly.
now I know something I can get you for our wedding.
What's that?
A laptop did specifically for streaming.
Those exist.
Yeah, I can get you something like this.
I think he's gonna. Stop looking at me. All right, y'all. I'm gonna do the video I said I was gonna cover, which is Jolly Heretic. That's a interesting ass topic, but no, not right now. Behave, super.
Okay, I'm behaving.
Leaf trimmer. Uh-oh. I don't know if that's a question. He didn't put a question mark at the end of it. He just said wedding.
Mhm.
I don't really have comments on the video I just shared. That was just kind of food for thought. It was the opener. There's a main event. Bam. Bam. Bang.
What's the matter?
I think he's drunk.
Me too.
What's the matter?
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Shh. It's okay. Shh. I'm just gonna get a doctor to come and look at you. Hey, come on. What am I gonna do? Make that baby an orphan before he's born? Hello, 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 and welcome to this edition of the Jolly Heretic. Now, as my impression of The Godfather in my last video proved so popular, I thought I would develop that and do an impression of Sonny Corleone. Now, Sonny Corleone, as any of you who have watched The Godfather will know, has a sister called Connie, and Connie marries Carlo Rizzi, and Carlo Rizzi beats her up. Carlo Rizzi knocks Connie about. And even though there is a sort of Sicilian rule that you're not really meant to interfere with people's marriages, this angers her brother, this angers Sonny so much that he has no choice but to go and track down Carlo and severely beat him up in the street. And eventually, of course, Carlo is murdered for various reasons, including his treatment of Connie. And this is highly relevant to what I want to talk about today, which basically is why feminism and the idea that feminism empowers women is complete nonsense. It is, in fact, patriarchy that empowers women, and feminism weakens women. Feminism has left women in a situation where actually, although of course there are a minority of women that have a lot of power because they're able to attain political power and things like that overtly, which they couldn't previously, in the case of most women, they are far better off in terms of having power under patriarchy than they are under feminism. Now, why is this the case? Why is this the case that it is in fact patriarchy that empowers women? Well, first of all, let's look at how patriarchy comes about once more. What essentially happens is that it is in the man's sexual interest to live fast, die young. He has nothing to lose from the sexual encounter. And so his inclination is to have sex with as many women as he possibly can and to invest absolutely nothing in them. And to the extent that he's interested at all in selecting for anything, he will select women that are young, because young women are more likely to get pregnant. And he will select women that are beautiful, that is to say women who are low in mutational load, because they're more likely to have healthy offspring that will survive. But basically, he will be a complete cad, and he will pump and dump. That's it. The woman, she of course has something to lose from the sexual encounter because she can become pregnant. She's encumbered with the child for 9 months. And so she's more likely to survive, and her offspring are more likely to survive if she sexually selects for a man who is not just genetically healthy, but who is of high social status and who is able and willing to invest in her. So she will demand investment in return.
All right, I made him shut up. Jokes, but all right, seriously. So we covered the R and K selection, how men evolved to be sluts, and basically women evolved to be the opposite of sluts, even though they're sluts. So you have the R versus K selection. He's not saying anything I don't disagree with. There's one thing in particular in this video that he says. When I was watching in the past, I picked up on it when he's talking about Sonny Corleone, and how he was going after his sister's husband. That was so he's gonna. I think he's gonna go further with that, and he's gonna say something that's a pretty good point on it.
Sex. And she will then be very picky about who she has sex with, and she will, to the extent she can do so, physically fight off men who will try and have sex with her and regard it as rape if men who she does not find attractive because they are of low status attempt to have sex with her. She sexually selects in this way because both she and her offspring are more likely to survive if the male can and will invest in her. And so therefore the woman will disproportionately select for high social status. So you have this fundamental difference. Now, the result of this, if men are compelled to invest in the female in return for sex, then what they will want is proof that it is their child, that they are not being cuckolded. patriarchy permits that proof, because if the male is controlling the female's sexuality, if the woman is veiled, if the woman can't wander around or whatever, then he can be more sure they are his children. And he can be more sure they are his children, he will invest more in them, and thus patriarchy becomes selected for. And not only that, it would make sense for him to sexually select for women who are submissive to the patriarchy, and therefore women will be sexually selected for evidence that they are permissive, that they are submissive to.
All right. So there's a couple of things he's saying. I mean, he was pretty much saying the agreement between men and women. There's not too much here that's new, but I want to see this comment that Emmanuel's talking about. It's an interesting topic or point he brought up.
The patriarchy, women who are not prepared to be submissive to patriarchy, women who are more kind of manlike and more, not prepared to follow the rules, they will be selected out. This creates an arms race among women to be more and more and more patriarchal. Now, what this in turn means, of course, is that women are sexually selected to be, in effect, directed by men, to be controlled by men, to be looked after by men, to be looked after by their husbands, looked after by their families, looked after by...
I'll stop this short, but he's saying some crazy stuff, which is actually true. But oh my God, man, this guy's, he doesn't look it, but he's got some massive nuts. I'll have to give him that. He's and he's pretty articulate. I don't like his tie, but I can work with that, man. Like anyone's got to work with that, because the stuff he's saying right now, man, I don't even hear that from the people I follow in this community. He's called the Jolly Heretic, I think, or is Dr. Edward Dutton the Jolly Heretic. Good Mother was talking about this guy yesterday, and I told her I saw the video, and she was talking about the video too. I'm gonna keep playing it. Uh-oh. Oh, it is charging. I didn't know if it had a charger in it. Uh-oh.
Did you unmute Mr. Heretic?
Woman is veiled,
fucked
woman
him up.
can't wander around or whatever, then he can be more sure they are his children. And if he can be more sure they are his children, he will invest more in them, and thus patriarchy becomes selected for. And not only that, it would make sense for him to sexually select for women who are submissive to the patriarchy, and therefore women will be sexually selected for evidence that they are submissive to the patriarchy, and women who are not prepared to be submissive to the patriarchy, women who are more kind of manlike and more, not prepared to follow the rules, they will be selected out. This creates an arms race among women to be more and more and more patriarchal. Now, what this in turn means, of course, is that women are sexually selected to be, in effect, directed by men, to be controlled by men, to be looked after by men, to be looked after by their husbands, looked after by their families, looked after by other men. And so in that sense, they are kind of more environmentally sensitive, and they are more reliant on a roadmap which optimally directs them in the correct evolutionary direction, in a way that men are not, because men can just instinctively act. They're not pushed in this particular direction. So this is evidence that they are permissive, that they are submissive.
I go back again just to reiterate
women who
this.
are not prepared to be submissive to the patriarchy, women who are more kind of manlike and more, not prepared to follow the rules, they will be selected out. This creates an arms race among women to be more and more and more patriarchal. Now, what this in turn means, of course, is that women are sexually selected to be, in effect, directed by men, to be controlled by men, to be looked after by men, to be looked after by their husbands, looked after by their families, looked after by other men. And so in that sense, they are kind of more environmentally sensitive, and they are more reliant on a roadmap which optimally directs them in the correct evolutionary direction, in a way that men are not, because men can just instinctively act. They're not pushed in this particular direction. So and therefore patriarchy becomes wrapped up in the religion, because it's adaptive for the group to have patriarchy, because if you have patriarchy, then it reduces intra-male conflict. It means you have more, you can have more cooperation, higher positive ethnocentrism. Groups that are higher in positive ethnocentrism, internal cooperation, tend to beat groups that are not, and so therefore it all becomes wrapped up in religion, and we have patriarchy. Now, in what sense is patriarchy empowering for women? Well, if we go back to not very long ago, we were in a group-oriented society in which the individual wasn't important, and you couldn't really survive as an individual. You survived because you had alliances. You survived because you had family ties, and you acted to protect your family, protect members of your family, because in protecting your family, you were helping to indirectly pass on your genes, obviously, because your sister is 50% genetically the same as you, your child is 50% genetically the same as you, whatever. So you protect your family, and in doing so, you indirectly pass on your genes. In ensuring that your family are wealthy, you ensure that your family, in a society in which there was a correlation until about 1900 or a bit earlier, between how much wealth you had and how many surviving children you had, having a high status match or whatever was very, very important for any woman or indeed man. And so therefore the nature of your family and its reputation becomes extremely important to your genetic success and to your passing on your genes, both directly and indirectly. Now, the female is the essence of the family, in the sense that, okay, it is true that we have patriarchy and the control of females and so on, but you can never be sure as a man that your child is yours. That you can always be sure as a woman that your child is yours. Now, it follows from that as a brother, you can never be sure that your brother's son is his, but you can be sure that your sister's son is hers. As a grandfather, you can never be sure that your son's son is his, but you can be sure that your daughter's son is hers. So it makes sense to invest more in the females. The females really are your genetic future. The females need to be looked after. The females need to survive. The females need to make it, because it is the females that ensure that your genes are passed on in a way that the males can never, ever 100% do, no matter how strict the patriarchal controls are. Now, what used to happen under this situation of patriarchy, which you would think represses females? Now, you could say the females have brought patriarchy on themselves. They want to have investment. They demand investment from men, and therefore patriarchy.
So what do y'all think of patriarchy?
Patriarchy.
The mama's baby daddy's maybe, yeah, that thing. So there's one thing he brought up that was really pertinent. But he also said a lot of stuff. But let me go back.
That okay, it is true that we have patriarchy.
Oh, he was saying, I remember now. So he was saying women demand patriarchy, or at least the women in the older times, they demanded patriarchy. I thought that was an interesting thing he said there.
I demand patriarchy.
Mm-hmm. Let me share the screen again.
and the control of females and so on. But you can never be sure as a man that your child is yours. That you can always be sure as a woman that your child is yours. Now, it follows from that as a brother, you can never be sure that your brother's son is his, but you can be sure that your sister's son is hers. As a grandfather, you can never be sure that your son's son is his, but you can be sure that your daughter's son is hers. So it makes sense to invest more in the females. The females really are your genetic future. The females need to be looked after. The females need to survive. The females need to make it, because it is the females that ensure that your genes are passed on in a way that the males can never ever 100% do, no matter how strict the patriarchal controls are. Now, what used to happen under this situation of patriarchy, which you would think represses females, that you could say the females have brought patriarchy on themselves. They want to have investment. They demand investment from men. And therefore, patriarchy develops as a consequence. So they brought it on themselves in that sense. But how is it empowering? Well, let's think about the nature of marriages up until relatively recently. The idea that you would just go and marry some person that you met online until relatively recently, until really only a generation or two ago, was completely insane. That's not how marriages worked. You didn't just meet someone randomly in a pub 100 years ago, get chatting to them and decide to marry them. That's not how it worked. There were controls. Women were chaperoned to ensure that they weren't raped, to ensure proper sexual behavior and sexual morality. So there was no just talking to other women. You couldn't do that. So you met people through people. How did you meet these people? You met them through your friends. Now, we know from research by many scholars that people are genetically more similar to their friends than to a random member of the population. So friendship is a way of indirectly passing on your genes.
All right, he dropped a lot of bombs there. The one he was talking about with controlling the rules of engagement for the relationship. So for the guy, whenever he's first meeting the woman, he's likely going to meet the woman because someone introduces him to the woman. So probably through his friends. And so if you take what he said about the genetic similarity between the friends, and that would mean that if your friend suggests a woman for you, there's a chance that you'll like that woman as well. If the friend thinks that the woman is attractive, then you'll likely think the woman is attractive. So I guess that lends that to being probably one of the most efficient ways of actually getting a partner in the past, most likely. Also, it leads to, classism and stuff like that, but that's a different story.
And so your friends have a stake genetically in who you end up with. It's in their genetic interests. So you meet people through friends, and of course you meet people through family. To a great extent, marriages would be arranged. So two families would get together, and they would think, oh, wouldn't it be a jolly good idea if your son married my daughter? That's how it would operate. Now, they weren't necessarily compulsory. You did have that among perhaps the higher levels of the nobility or the royal family, that the marriages were compulsory, that you had to marry who you were told to marry. But that wasn't the case among the sort of upper middle class, or working class. In those instances, you would have someone's family who would arrange for a couple to get together, see how they got on. There'd be a chaperone at a distance to ensure no hanky panky, or some friends at a distance or whatever. They would talk to each other. They would see how they got on, and they either would or wouldn't get it together. Oh, I'm stuttering here. Now, what this meant, of course, was that the families, the couples, were of relatively similar socioeconomic status. Now, yes, of course, there is an extent to which it is much more the norm for females to marry up socioeconomically, to marry up to marry hypergamously, socioeconomically. They are evolved to want to do that, and they will therefore be sexually attracted to men who are of a higher social status. And indeed, it is norm for men to marry hypergamously in terms of looks. So they will obviously, the woman will be objectively better looking than they are. But the differences in this context would have been small, because it would have been a matter of social groups. It would have been a matter of friends and other friends, families and other families who know each other. So the difference in power between the two families would have been relatively small. Now, this, of course, means we are evolved to look after and to bond with and to love more people who are genetically more similar to ourselves, because that means we indirectly pass on more of our genes. Marriages between people that are genetically more similar, they tend to survive longer, they tend to have less problems, they tend to have more children, they tend to be more loving. The children of these, the sweet spot, according to research in Iceland, is third cousin. We are the most sexually attracted to our third cousins, or the genetic equivalent thereof, which is about 1% above the baseline of the population. So they would look after each other, these couples, they would bond strongly with each other, they would love each other, they would bond strongly with the children, because the children would be more genetically similar to themselves than would be the case with couples that were more genetically dissimilar. They would bond, they would love, and this would, to a certain extent, give the woman more power. Now, why would it give the woman more power? Well, first of all, because the woman's background is going to be very similar to the man's background. So she will have indirectly as much access to resources and whatever as he is going to have. Secondly, because the man is going to be also similar social status to him. Secondly, because the man is going to be probably very, very strongly bonded with the woman, and will therefore be strongly inclined to do what she wants and do what she says in return for sex, rather than look elsewhere. So sex can be her weapon, and in order to have dominance over him and make him do what she desires. And he's unlikely to abandon her because he will be so strongly bonded with her. And so this gives her power. Now, if you look at the issue of control, one of the things you can say is, well, no, patriarchy is inherently unfair. It means the woman is disempowered, the man can control her, the man can rape her, the man can do whatever he likes to her. But in this kind of context, that is not going to be the case. The man can abandon her. No, the man can't abandon her, because the man's power level is very similar to the power level of her family. And if he abandons her, then that family can come after him and do all kinds of horrible things to him. If he rapes her, if he physically abuses her, if he mentally abuses her, she has the backup of this family who are of similar status to his own, who have power, who can do all kinds of horrible things to him. She has this backing behind her, and she has this in a society in which your family and your group is a big part of your identity, in which it is encouraged by the religion of the society that you have to look after your family and look after your group and put these things first. In which it is the will of God to do this. And so she basically has an army of allies behind her. And also, traditionally anyway, we were living in small villages, small towns. We weren't scattered all over the place. And so she could easily get hold of these people and get these people to defend her. Now, this is why in research among the Yanomamo and other tribal groups, women are far more likely to end up getting abused if they marry men from a different village, because the tradition is that they go and live in that village. If they go and live in that village, their brothers can't protect them from their husbands. But of course, if they don't go and live in a different village, their brothers can more easily protect them from their husbands. Now, that's what you see in The Godfather. You see this guy getting in trouble because he's abused Connie. Connie has a great deal of power because Connie comes from a powerful family in which she has a father and lots of brothers, and they're not going to let anything awful happen to their sister. And so in that sense, she has a lot of power, and he has to do what she says, not the other way round. Now, if you look at the nature of the marriage ceremony, which can be regarded as a patriarchal ceremony, is an attempt to back this up. What do you have? You have this situation in which the bride's family pay for the wedding. So it is traditionally anyway. So it is a way of asserting our power are access to resources, that you get the most important male member of the family, whether it is the brother or of the bride or the father of the bride, to walk the bride up the aisle and give her away to the husband. And symbolically, what that is saying is, look, here she is. I am giving you my daughter or my sister, and you better not fuck about with her, because if you do that, then look at this aisle here. Look at all these allies she has. Look at all these people she has behind her. Look at all this power that she has. Look at all this power I'm expressing in this expensive wedding, which I can afford because I have status and power. Okay, perhaps a little bit less status than you have. She's kind of marrying up a little bit, but look at nevertheless. Look at all this power. Look at this. You better watch out, matey, because I will cut you up. That's what it is saying. And so, therefore, she has control over him. They will look after her. Now, he can engage in all kinds of methods to take control. What you then get in the marriage itself is a battle for control, a battle for power, a battle over the woman will want investment and the man will want sex, and there will be a battle over how this is achieved. What does the man have at his disposal? Well, the man can call her nasty names like bitch and whore, and this will make her think that she's not worth anything, and therefore she won't dare leave him, because she'll think that her mate value level is low, and so she can't do any better than him. The man can smack her around, which makes her look ugly, and in a context in which women are mainly sexually selected for their looks, and so this will make her think she has poor mate value, and she won't dare leave him. He can withdraw welfare. He can withdraw welfare. He can stop treating her nicely and whatever in that context, and therefore she'll think she can't get any resources, and she won't dare leave him. He can cut off her resources. He can attempt to isolate her. That's nothing he can do. So if he can isolate her from all her friends and family, then he'll be able to sort of do what he wants to her and control her. He can gaslight her, so he can make out, oh, it's all in your head. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm perfectly nice, and basically send her mad because she has nobody she can talk to about it. But in this context of having these brothers and having this family and whatever that she's bonded with, he can't do any of those things. So it puts her in a position of power over him. If she doesn't want to give him sex, she doesn't have to. And there's nothing to make her do so. And if he tries any of these techniques, then he can leave her. She can leave him, or she can, at the very least, get her brothers or her father involved and prevent any problems from occurring. So under the patriarchal system, because of the centrality of females to passing on your genes, the centrality of females as well to the reputation of the family. If a woman has a reputation of being a whore, the family has a bad reputation, hence honor killings. Because of that, these women are looked after, and because of the non-asymmetrical nature of the marriage, these women have power. Now, feminism causes all of this to break down. Under the feminist system, first of all, women are encouraged to have careers and to sacrifice the number of children they have. The result of that is that people have smaller families. The result of that is that women have smaller families. The result of that is that women have fewer male brothers, fewer male cousins, and so on. They basically have fewer males who can look after them, and in that sense, they have less power once they are in the marital situation. The second result of feminism is that women will pursue their careers and rather than marital life, and therefore they will, in a complete evolutionary mismatch, go and move somewhere where they're completely on their own, where there are no men to look after them, where there is no one close at hand that can protect them from a man who is a narcissist, who is a stalker, who is a nasty piece of work, where they're isolated in this complete evolutionary mismatch, and they're completely disempowered. They have no access, even if the male network is big enough, which feminism means it isn't, to a male network that can protect them. This leaves them disempowered. The third problem with it is that under this system, it is not their family or their friends who will select who they marry. It is they who will select who they marry. So the pressures of patriarchy, the pressures of a system in which it is your family, your father, your brother, whatever, who arranges who you marry, and will therefore arrange for you to marry somebody who is socially relatively similar to you, giving you relative power over them. That's removed. And so what you have instead is because these women not being directed along an evolutionarily adaptive roadmap anymore because of the breakdown of the patriarchal system in favor of an individualistic system of feminism, is you have women will simply sexually select in the most extreme way that they are adapted to do. Women are evolved to sexually select for status. And so what you will get is more and more matches in which women of very low status or whose background is of very low socioeconomic status but who are good looking, will sexually select for men who are of very high socioeconomic status. So you'll get this huge asymmetry. And you see this now, everyone talks about incels and Tinder and stuff. You see this now precisely. Men who are of very, very high social status, have power and resources and whatever, will be attracted to women who are good looking. Women who are good looking and young, no matter, particularly if they have low status, they're going to be attracted to men of high status. And so you can imagine a situation where some girl from a working class background, lower middle class background, goes to university, meets some aristocrat, and they get together. That woman will have no power. She will be completely reliant on him. She will have no people behind her who can help her because they're all going to be poor or whatever, so they won't have any resources compared to the husband. He will have all the resources. So it puts her in a position where she is disempowered. And it is feminism, it is the removal of patriarchal constraints on how women behave that has put her in that situation where she has no power. So she has no power in terms of due to having a small family. She has no power due to being in a place in the country which is very, very far from her family because she's moved there for work reasons and she's focused her life around work rather than anything else. She has no power because if she's married at all, she's married hugely or got into a relationship, she's married in a hugely asymmetrical way. So she has absolutely no power. Now, what is going to be the result of that? She's probably an only child. What's going to be that? The result of that is she is weak. She is weakened. He can do what he wants. He can abuse her. He can take advantage of her. He can threaten to take away her resources. He can beat her up. He can rape her and threaten to take away the resources if she moans about it. He can gaslight her because she's basically isolated from her family and friends, and he can do what he can make her think call her all kinds of horrible names and reduce her mate value and make her think she can never do any better. And indeed, she probably can't do any better because this is a very, very high status man we're talking about here, and women are selected to select sexually for high status. He can make her life absolutely hell, and there's nothing she can do about it. If she breaks up with him, he can stalk her. He can engage in all of these kinds of behaviors, and ultimately, indeed, he can make her life absolute hell. But in particular, he can stalk her. He can abuse her, and all of this. And it's Me Too. It's the Me Too movement, and there's nothing she can do. She's disempowered. Look at the situation with Harvey Weinstein, this man of immense power and immense wealth, able to say to women of relatively low social status, sexually humiliate yourself for me in return for resources. And they do so, and they're prepared to do so. And the reason the reason he can get away with it is because the asymmetry between them is so huge, they have nobody that will back them up because they have become women alone in the world, which is a complete evolutionary mismatch to be women alone in the world. As Menelaus Apostolou has shown, women are more evolved than men to the patriarchy. They are more evolved to be directed by the group in an adaptive direction. And that's what they're evolved to do. And so if you take away the patriarchy, if you take away the system that pushes them in the adaptive direction, they will be in more of an evolutionary mismatch than men. They will be less instinctively able to do the right thing because evolutionary terms, because they literally selected to be pushed along a roadmap, like children to some extent, in the right evolutionary direction. If that is subverted by spiteful mutants pushing us in the wrong direction, they will absorb that more quickly than men. They will be less instinctive, and they will therefore start doing highly maladaptive things. Ultimately, of course, absorbing an ideology which persuades them to not have children and not pass on their genes, and indeed puts them in a situation where they have no power whatsoever. Now, there are some women. The women that are more masculinized, the women that aren't adapted to the patriarchy, the women that would be the deviation from the evolutionary norm of 1800, the women that would be higher mutational load, the women that would be individualistic, they wouldn't women that would be indeed lesbians, because this has been shown to be associated with these traits, these women would not see the world like this. These women can be regarded to be evolved to a pre-patriarchal world of the savannah, in which there are very little controls over men and women. Men pump and dump and don't invest. The women expect that to happen. The women are therefore masculinized. They take on masculinized traits, both mentally and physically, and look after the children themselves, and in an environment of plenty. And so for them, this is not a problem at all. And they attain power and whatever, and they'll fight men off physically, and they'll cope, and they'll be fine. But they're a minority of people, and they're empowered by this. And those kinds of women will reach positions of power and authority. Those fast life history strategy sort of women who are evolved that ecology, particularly if they have intelligence as well. But most women won't. And so most women don't want that. Most women want a man who will invest in them. Most women show they want to do feminine professions if they can. They want to work part-time and whatever. They want to be looked after. They want to be in a patriarchy, and they're evolved to it. And feminism takes away all of the defense mechanisms. It gives them essentially all of the bad things about patriarchy without any of the good things. So it is an appalling situation for women, and it is the reason why we see this rise in abuse, in stalking, and the Me Too movement, all kinds of nasty stuff, because it is a complete evolutionary mismatch. We are failing women with feminism. Women are being abused by feminism. Feminism is causing women to be killed. Feminism is the reason why Sarah Everard had in England had imbibed this idea that leave university, be a single woman, live in London, be childless at 33, wander around in the dark on Clapham Common, and it'll all be fine. And she's died. She's died as a consequence of that. She's murdered. That would never happen under a system of patriarchy. She'd be looked after, as indeed she is evolved to be looked after. May she rest in peace. So, feminism is nonsense. Women have power under patriarchy. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please subscribe. Please remember I live stream on Mondays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. UK time. And please help fund the channel. You can see ways to do so below. And I will see you soon. And goodbye! Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Jolly Heretic. I have such a special guest for you today, and that is, of course, the former UKIP, UK Independence Party member of the European Parliament, Mr. Godfrey Bloom. And while I sign into the old entropy, I'm going to ask Godfrey to introduce himself. So, Godfrey, over to you.
Well, I was indeed 10 years a member for the UKIP and independent representing Yorkshire. But I'm also, by profession, I'm an Austrian school economist, and I worked in the City of London for many, many years, and specialised in fixed interest and pension fund management, so on and so forth. And I was modestly successful in that role.
Excellent. Well, cheers. Welcome to our online public house, which, of course, if you're new to the online public house, meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and normally at 7 o'clock UK time, 2 p.m. New York. But today we're meeting half an hour early. Cheers. To English and British independence, and cheers. Okay. So, Godfrey, how did you you were a member of the European Parliament from 2004 to 2014, I think. How did you get involved in politics? How did it all come about?
Well, I was a fund manager in the city for the Warburg Empire, specialising in fixed interest. And I had a rather good team with me, a very bright team of people, as you can imagine, working for a leading investment bank. And I was asked to have a look at the implications of a common currency, the euro. And so we sat down and we sort of kicked it around quite a lot. And from a professional perspective, and I realized then that it was a political currency. It didn't stand up to any tests that we ran past it. It was doomed to failure, and therefore it gave me, for the first time, a political inclination. I'd never been a member of a political party at all. And then I looked in further and further to the euro, the common currency, so on and so forth, and it became apparent to me that the European Union in its entirety was doomed to failure, probably dragged down by the euro, which is a one-size-fits-all currency which couldn't possibly succeed. And so that dragged me into politics. And the more I found out about the European Union, the more horrified I was. It drew me into politics, and I stood under proportional representation for Yorkshire. And nobody was more surprised than me when I got elected, I can tell you. I was positively staggered. It was me, my mother-in-law, a mate from the rugby club, and my dog. That was my campaign team. And such up in Yorkshire was the hatred of this appalling European Union. I got elected with 200,000 votes, which in 10 years' time I turned it.
This was the Robert Kilroy Silk election, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yes, 2004.
So for those who are half my audience are American. So we had a British, he was a Labour member of Parliament, and then he became a chat show host. And then he had some, I don't know what it was, some sort of breakdown, I don't know, and decided to get involved in, he was sacked from the newspaper for making a comment of Arabs. And then he decided to get involved in politics. And he took this EU election, which is normally very dull, by storm. And UKIP made a huge gains. So what happened about so Kilroy Silk? What happened about that? Why did he end up? He kind of exploded into the party, then exploded out. What was that all about?
Well, he was a complete maverick, and he decided that he wanted a platform. UKIP was a very good platform because under proportional representation instead of first past the post, it meant he could get back into elected politics again because the mainstream parties didn't want him. And it was quite useful for UKIP because what actually happened was UKIP was being blanked by mainstream media. They would not allow it any airtime. They wouldn't allow any representation on television, on the BBC or anything of that nature. He came along, and of course it then meant UKIP couldn't be ignored. It meant that we had to come onto the front burner, and we went from 3 MEPs to 9 or 10 or something, I can't remember. Because, yes, he gave it profile. So he got it off the ground, as it were. He then left because he's a total maverick and he can't stay anywhere for very long, bless him. And he disappeared. But the die was cast by then. The die was cast. We were on the map then. And from then on, it became a lot easier.
Yeah, I recall. So the leader at the time, I mean, you had a few. Roger Natman was the leader at the time, wasn't he? He was an ex-Tory minister.
That's right.
And it all sort of went very well, but then it sort of well, before I go on to why it exploded, why it imploded, let's ask about. So you were elected in 2004. You become a member of the European Parliament. You know quite a bit about it through your research in the 80s, early 90s on the currency and whatever. But what were the things? As you're now an insider. You're now in the beast. You're in Strasbourg. You're in Brussels. What were the things that really hit you about it that shocked you? Were there things that were worse even than your expectations, or were you pleasantly surprised?
Well, the thing that struck me most, quite almost physically, was the unbelievable disregard for public money. That's the first thing that hit me as an experience. I was used to, big investment banks working at Warburg's, the big investment banks, with their fantastic buildings and their fantastic foyers with plants and fountains and all the rest of it. So, I wasn't naive in this matter, but when I got to the European Parliament, it was positively astonishing. The buildings, everything about it screamed, we don't care about public money. And it was fascinating that there was a parliament, of course, in Brussels. There's a parliament in Luxembourg, which has never been used to this day. Another parliament in Strasbourg. We all packed up and went there every month and all these kind of things. And it was quite fascinating. That was the first thing that really hit me, was the disregard for public money.
I should just say to those that are new to the channel, so we're going to, Godfrey and I are going to have a discussion for 45 minutes. Then we're going to do questions. If you have a question for Godfrey, you can send it in either at the link below on Entropy or through YouTube, and it will, of course, get answered. If it's a question, please mark it with a G, so I know it's for Godfrey. We will, of course, I don't have a number of questions for me from Monday, but I will prioritize those that are related to Europe or related to Godfrey related type questions, so you can send those in there. We will of course answer. So a waste of public money. And what about the kind of people that were involved? I mean, you're a lot of people's perspective, what really people remember, and so I used it in the thumbnail, was your run-ins with Herr Schultz, and you using, as Edward Macmillan Scott said, wartime illusions, and him getting terribly upset, and you know, all this virtue signaling, and you have what kind of people were you dealing with?
Well, that was quite interesting. The people, first of all, of course, I'd come from one of the most, the top, arguably the top investment bank in the world, which was the Warburg Empire. It was regarded in the 1980s and 1990s as being the definitive top investment bank. Nobody even really just disputed that, even other investment banks. So I was used to people around me being absolute top draw. So everybody was Oxbridge, Sorbonne, Heidelberg, Princeton. You know, it was an international investment bank. The standard of people I were dealing with were really extremely high. And if you went to dinner or something like that, or you had a boardroom brainstorm at the weekend, somebody would get up and play Magnificent Chopin, for example. I was dealing with absolutely top people. How I got into this bank, I really couldn't tell you. I must have wormed my way in somehow, but these people were really something else. These were top first-class division. What I couldn't believe when I got to the European Union, the unbelievable low grade of these people. These people are astonishingly low grade placemen, in certainly the Brits, placemen from the main political parties. They were all life's losers. You know, they were losers, as my nephew would have gone when he saw them, you know, this, you know, loser. And these people were just appalling losers, almost all, with one or two exceptions, but so terribly few exceptions. From other countries, arguably pretty much the same. The highest quality of person I met out there were the translators. The people who translate, they were very high quality people. Linguists, maybe spoke three or four languages. They were very high quality. But generally speaking, it was the unbelievable low grade of people.
Well, I suppose a lot of people, at least if they're in mainstream political parties, they see the European Parliament as a leap for a means of getting into national politics. Like people, you start off as a councillor or something, or an MEP, and then you go from there into proper grown-up politics. And with UKIP, of course, that wasn't the case. With the smaller parties, it's rather different. But with the large parties, you can see. I mean, I remember when I was involved in the Wimbledon Conservative Association, I was secretary of the Young Conservatives, and we had to select a candidate in early 2000s, and the egos floating around. I mean, it was a Labour seat, but we had over 100 applications for this seat. And so I'm guessing it's those kinds of people you would have been dealing with. But what about the run-ins that you have with people like Martin Schulz and people like that? I mean, how did you manage to? Do you feel you achieved anything? What kind of people were these? I mean, is it true that these people are basically tin pot wannabe dictators, or like the right-wing media try and present them, or is it slightly more nuanced? Or what was your feeling on the people that were in charge?
Well, Martin Schulz, if we take Martin Schulz as an example, there's no reason why we shouldn't, a socialist, a rabid socialist, and he was making his usual speech is that what we wanted, we need one country, and we wanted one president, and we wanted, he was really, all I did was translate into the vernacular what he was saying. Ein Reich, ein Volk, ein Führer. That's what he was saying. And if you look at the clip and see the translation from the German, that is exactly what he was saying. But all I did was saying, we've heard this before. Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. And of course, it all kicked off and everybody got very cross. But it wasn't my fault. It was his fault for coming out with the kind of stuff that my father flew a Spitfire to stop.
Well, yeah, I mean they're very, very sensitive about it, and it does shut them up. I mean, I have found in my experience of the Germans, I have found them to be very sensible and well organized people, but there seems to be this aggressive undercurrent that bursts through occasionally. That's my experience of being in Germany. But I think that's true of him.
I tell you what the funny thing was I got hate mail from Labour Party MEPs and supporters. I got support from Germany. I got a lot of support from Germans who were saying, yes, you've got it right. That is exactly what this man is. Yes, he is a rabid National Socialist, only not nationalist for Germany, nationalist for a European Union. Ein Reich.
Yes, Ein Reich, Ein Führer, exactly, and he would be the Führer. And I get the impression he has very poor self-control. He's a recovering alcoholic. He has all kinds of and obviously to use a word which, I mean, when was it this happened? Was it about 2010? That this incident was about 10 years ago.
Perhaps something like that, I think.
Yeah. Well, and this word wasn't as fashionable then, but you had obviously triggered him because on some unconscious level, I guess he knew you were right. But anyway,
I'd hit the spot.
Eh?
I'd hit the spot.
You'd hit the spot, yes, exactly.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
hit the G spot, the German spot, and he was most unhappy about it, and so he made this little childish complaint, and then they voted that you had to leave, and you said, "I will not leave." Edward Macmillan Scott, who was chairing the thing, said, "I will not leave. You must escort me out, sir."
Yes.
And what was it that he came over and chatted to you? So what was it that he said that persuaded you to not be dragged out kicking and screaming like Ian Paisley?
I don't think he came over to see me. What happened was I said I wouldn't go. It was just before a vote. And I said, I've been elected by the people of Yorkshire, Edward, as you have by the people, as a Yorkshire MEP. And I want to vote in this. And if you throw me out, it's undemocratic because I'm here to vote. You can fine me, you can suspend me, you can do also, but if you get rid of me now, it means I won't be able to vote. And then they weren't going to continue the proceedings. So the sort of staff, I forget what we call them in Westminster Parliament now, but yes, the ushers came down. The ushers are really nice people. They're not bruisers. They're rather nice old gentlemen with a medallion and stuff. And it was them that spoke to me and said, please, Mr. Bloom, please let us escort you out, because otherwise,
So you'll like this one. The video that I was so the video I had earlier up, hold me a second. This is another reason why I can't be trusted to do videos. Let me see. So I hate to be the one to do this, but pretty sure y'all still there? Yeah, they're still there. Yes, so believe it or not, Bullets, what ended up happening is I was reviewing one of the videos, and I actually did believe it or not, I actually did fall asleep. It actually did. It actually did happen. Did you pass out or what? I actually don't know. That's the funny thing. And it's not because he's boring. I initially planned on doing this stream for like a little bit. I'm gonna be known as the guy who went to sleep on his own stream. It's kind of hilarious. I might end up doing like a part 2 for this, or just kind of doing this particular video that I was doing over again. I am kind of tired though, honestly. I'd like to bring someone up, like one or two people up, just in case, just to share a different perspective as opposed to just having me on here. I'll drop a link and it's a weird thing, honestly. It's kind of funny it happened. It was supposed to be a shorter, it was actually supposed to be a shorter stream. I don't know, man. It was supposed to be a shorter stream. The video itself was only like 30 minutes long. Hey, you tired? Because I was tired. Apparently, something was resting on my knuckles. Something was resting on my knuckles while I was going. Or I don't even know if I snored. Did I snore anymore? Oh, snap. Since 5 a.m. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I bet you are. I didn't know you were a night owl. For me, it's like all my systems are coming online again. It's kind of hilarious. Like, you know, when you kind of wake up after you realize you kind of realize that you were asleep, but then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually kind of tired too, so maybe I should just stay asleep. This guy, I didn't even recognize. I think when I go back and look at the video, it's gonna show that it was going to another thing, but I was only doing one video. So this is kind of a lesson to me. So I was kind of trying to do this hybrid thing where I do, instead of doing a short stream, I would try to do one a little bit longer. I don't think I should try to do long streams because I don't think I have the attention span for a super long one. So I'm probably just gonna stick with the decent length, like a shorter length from now on, as opposed to doing like a 6 or 7 hour stream. I'll do 30-minute to an hour streams. There's no getting away. There's no getting around that. So before I call it quits for this particular stream and in this stream, one thing I would like to address about the video that Dr. Edward Dutton, the title, Why Feminism Disempowers Women and how they had more power under the patriarchy. So I'm kind of gonna refrain from playing the video over again, but one thing that should be noted about the initial video I played in the past and then the one here is that in the video by, I think it's San Q, something like that, about marriage, it was saying that marriage, it doesn't matter anymore because women, it was saying how like you can have like a woman, you know, have sex with a guy, but then she has another guy as well, but then has the offspring of like multiple men. And I guess that was the justification and that he was saying as to why marriage doesn't matter anymore. Because in the past,
He was saying that type of behavior wouldn't have been tolerated and would have been hated. But nowadays, like you get women who have baby showers for like multiple men's babies, stuff like that. But like it wouldn't really cause a fuss. Likely. The biggest takeaways is that from the video I got is that women actually had um, greater levels of protection for themselves. So all the issues that feminism claims to care about, like you know, um, raping women and stuff like that, and how there'd be issues with a woman being able to stay safe by herself, going out and working, going out and walking, and stuff like that. So, the thing is, when you have like get sperm brained, uh, yeah. Um, what I was saying was, so females end up having more protection by having male siblings, male like uncles, a father. The males are actually pretty important to the uh, the quality of partner that the woman finds. Um, the woman ends up taking that into account. You know that okay, the man I get is going to come in contact with these other men, stuff like that, and vice versa. The man ends up selecting. I think it changes the male selection too. Yes, by having other males having a vested interest in the woman's safety. I think so. At the risk of saying word salad. Okay, so um, honestly, this kind of topic deserves multiple streams, but he had a short video. There is one he does. It's really interesting. There's a couple actually. So he's got one. He said, "Wise." I'll share the screen real quick. All right, so this is one I could see doing later in the future. Is why I support Black Lives Matter, and so should anyone who wants to destroy the woke dictators. That looks kind of interesting. Probably counterintuitive if you think about judo and how if someone's attacking you, um, and you kind of use their own momentum against them. You're not really utilizing a lot of energy in order to do that. You're just transferring the momentum that they're using against you and use that against them. You're manipulating the person. So the person's downfall ends up being created by the person themselves as opposed to you having to come up with some elaborate scheme that counters their force with equal amount of force or greater. It's here somewhere. This might be an easy one. I'm not sure. It says fast life strategy women 25 miles, and here it says 1/4 mile slow life strategy women, and then it says has a sign with the incels. Let's see. I can't find it, but it was dealing with feminists saying that feminists have like grape jelly. They have grape fantasies. This also might be interesting. The giving your child a normal name is an ultimate rebellion against the mutants. There's a lot of interesting videos he has, but there was one I was looking for specifically I couldn't find. Oh, this one's kind of old. Listen, why is the way of the world that white women are so woke? Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of what's happening. It's kind of hilarious. I kind of realized that most of my videos are short by necessity. I think that's probably the case. All right, so I'm pretty much done. Before I cover it up, or before I end the stream, I'm going to give some pertinent information. So there is I'm going to give a link to oh man. yeah, y'all can have the after party. I'm kind of tired. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just that kind of day. I was running a lot of errands today, and I drove like 2 hours to where I work and back just to get. I had to get some stuff taken care of for work, and I think it drained a lot out of me, probably more than I expected. So before I get out of here, I'm gonna share the screen, and I'm going to give information regarding the event that I will be at, just in case anyone is interested enough to grasp on that. Okay. See if I can find it. Oh, here's an example. Here's an example of the stuff that's going to be talked about. So this is Scott McKay. I think this is his official Twitter. It's a live stream between what's her name? Kirsten, and I think this is the most current one, but it's talking about the post-election update just on the country and what's going on. If you're interested in this, just pretty much type in the Patriot Street Fighter, and you can type in update number 80. Or you can find, by the way, you could find this on. You can find this on if you go to rumble.com, you can find it there. This website. Just type in
Patriot Street Fighter. Here you go. And pretty much just go to the main page and you'll have pretty much all the info available. A lot of this info is really good. Like this round table right here is good. And then there's one in particular, Bishop Larry Gator sets. So from that guy, that's actually where I learned. Info about the transatlantic slave trade, about how supposedly, I guess, that was blamed on Caucasians and stuff like that, but it was far more sophisticated than that, and you actually had groups behind the scenes controlling that narrative. And that guy, Bishop Larry Gators, he actually goes into that, and he breaks down a lot of different movements. Like I think the Thugger Society and how people say thug life and stuff like that, like how that's actually attached to society, like a society group, like a deeper hidden group named as the Thugger Society. And he kind of he talks about how the Crips and the Bloods and stuff like that and the hand signs they use, that can be traced all the way back to the Thugger Society, and how the hand signs and stuff that they use, I think that comes from that society, and how that's probably there's probably some occult connection between that goes much deeper. All right, so gotta get to the main point. So, Thuggy. I don't know exactly how to say it, but so I'll kind of put his name in the chat. His name is Bishop Larry Gators, I believe. So he does a video with Patriot Street Fighter. So if you look at, so I'll give you a link specifically to one of the videos real quick. Oh, that's kind of cool. So here you go. I'll share the screen. You got it right, Doug. You look it up. Interesting history. I will. And if anyone's looking in the chat and you see what we're talking about, look it up for your own knowledge. If you've ever wondered about some of the deeper things that are hidden. So here's the guy's channel. It's called Global Masterclass, or Global, yeah. And he's got some interesting stuff. He's got a breadth of knowledge. He's got a knowledge base on a lot of different things. He's got a video on the current state of America. Let's see. Of course, that's really interesting. He's got a marriage divorce module. I'll probably cover some of that. And he has a remarriage. I'm gonna look up that in the future. That's kind of interesting. That is mine, isn't it? Yeah, it's mine. So Oh, this is a long one. I'm gonna cover one more thing real quick. This, so right here, this Beheezy guy. I haven't watched any of his stuff, but well, I've watched some of his stuff. I'm subscribed to him. Just one thing I would say is just give it a look. Look at it, and if you like it, if nothing else, he has a really well structured page. All right. Yeah, I kind of do. I probably do need a co-host. Yeah, I'm pretty much done. So this is what's gonna happen for the future streams that I do. They're gonna be short. They're gonna be between 30 minutes to an hour. And the reason being is because if I try to go further than that, there's a good chance that I'll end up doing what I did today, which is like a hard system reset. And so, yeah. So, yeah, I think I underestimated how tired I was, is what happened. But for the future, there's a good chance I'll be at optimal. I'll be at my optimal because I'll be able to do it for a shorter amount of time. So I'm going to share the screen one more time. And this is for all right. Of course, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let's see. Patriot, Street Fighter. There's an event going on in Dallas. Trying to pull it up real quick. Boop, boop. Oh, here it is. So it's 3 days away. I think it's in Allen, Texas, but they say Dallas. Call Down the Thunder. It's that's the title of it. Call Down the Thunder. It's Sunday, May 16th. So pretty much, if you're pro freedom, pro United States, pro you believe that America should be its own, we should be our own sovereign government. We should kind of deal with ourselves and not try to be in the not try to, kind of bully other people, other groups, other countries. We should deal with our own. And if you believe that if you stand for freedom, you stand for the Constitution, and you want to be able to, you want other people to be able to exercise their right to say whatever the hell they want. This is the kind of event. This is a good event for you. I'll kind of walk you through the site a little bit. So it's going on in 3 days, and of course they have a countdown. They have a about, so you can click the video here, and it'll show you who the person is. They're a former competitive bodybuilder, etc., etc. Contribute to the tour. I think you can pay some money there if you want, probably like a PayPal kind of situation. And he'll actually be traveling across the country. So if y'all are, and I'll go ahead and leave the site down below. Stop.
any Q stuff anymore. Okay. I don't think it's necessarily just Q stuff, but I mean, if let's see, not a gig, he might need testosterone. I might need testosterone. Okay. Most men do. There are so many fake estrogens. Oh yeah, there are. Yeah, that's true. Super Trumper. That's one way to look at it. Um, anyways, yeah. So that event's going on in Dallas. So I believe good. Those cats are sucking his soul. Oh shit. So here I can show myself for the last portion of this. So y'all check out that event that's going on in Dallas. You can't check it out. I think there's a live stream capability for that event. If not, also I told what's his name I would send a link to. I'll load that up real quick. There's one more link that I have to get a hold of that I told D-Dog I would start doing on my streams. If I can get it real quick, then I'll load it up. I'll put it in the chat. This is a important link. Anything political you can do right now, there's an easy thing you can do to help with the situation that's going on in the United States. Most simple thing you can do is, this little thing you ran across here, just kind of do that like that. Now I know this is American, you have the right to, do whatever you want. But I will kind of stress that if you want to do anything to actually help the country right now, something you can do within your means. And I know a lot of people think that there's nothing they can do and they're powerless, but enough people will do this, just take that off. That's gonna have an effect. People are gonna respond to that. So don't think you're powerless, and don't think you're insignificant. Your voice, just because you just because you work a job, and just because you're doing things to try to take care of yourself, you don't have enough money for everything. Anyway, I couldn't find the link, but for the next stream I'll have it. And again, my streams are going to be shorter because I don't need any more hard resets. Yeah. So I think Good Mother said she was going to do something, but if not, perhaps overspoke. If she's not going to do something, that's the end, y'all. You know what's funny? I'm going to actually go out on a funny note. So I'm going to go to a funny video. I think this is a funny thing to do. So I'm going to find a funny video real quick if I can. Oh, give me a second. I think this is something I'd actually do. Okay. Some people aren't going to appreciate this, but I think it's funny. Yeah, okay. Yeah, pseudoscientists kind of gave a solution. That's the long-term game, pseudoscientists. The short term is we need more people to not go along with the things that are going on currently and not to follow the status quo. We need people. I would say we need men, but like a lot of men are kind of oh God, really? Filling bags with gasoline. Okay, that's probably not going to help. I think in one of my last streams, I was saying we need men to step up and to kind of
demonstrate what needs to be done, but there's not a lot of that. I don't know how much of that we're gonna get. All right, so I'm gonna show a funny video, and we're gonna end on that note. And y'all are gonna like this. Hold on a second.
What is it I can help you with today, ma'am?
I just want what I deserve.
What is it you think you deserve?
You know, just someone nice and who just loves me unconditionally.
Okay, let me stop you there. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you think you are?
I think I'm like a high 7.
Stop. Let's be realistic.
I am a 7.
There's no such thing as a woman over 30 that's a 7. You are a 2 at best, below average at best, and you're 30. Men don't want a 2 who's in their 30s. You're useless.
Okay, but listen.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Okay, Lisa Leslie. Nobody wants a 5'11" 2 who's over 30.
Okay,
what's your blood type?
B.
Nobody wants a 5'11" 2 who's over 30 with your blood type. You are pathetic, ma'am. Say it with me. Say it. I am a pathetic, good-for-nothing, useless bitch who's good for nothing.
What?
Oh, my God. And that is why men are better than women, because you are incapable of following the simplest tasks. Don't overtalk me. Do not overtalk. Ma'am, do not overtalk me. Don't overtalk me. If you keep overtalking me, we're going to be done with this. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I know it's hard for you as a woman to follow simple instructions, but if you understand, nod your head. Good. Now make yourself useful and go kill yourself. Next.
Can't hear me. Nice. So what I was saying was, so that was that was just a funny video. I'm gonna do that with my streams. I'm gonna put funny videos at the end just to lighten the mood. But for now, I'm still muted. Oh no, I'm not muted anymore. Yeah, so I just like doing funny videos to lighten the mood. And what I was saying was, so any way y'all can get active with what's going on, just kind of share your voice, or if you need info, reach out. You can reach out to me to find info on what's going on. I think I put my email information on my channel. But if not, I'll try to get my email and put it in the about of area of my videos, so you guys can come and ask questions and stuff like that, and I could actually go further with some of this stuff. Yeah, man, he's funny as hell. Yeah, so y'all kind of saw my stream was kind of a nightmare in a way. Nothing really worked right. That's what happens. You kind of learn to roll with the bunches. You gotta know that a lot of this stuff isn't gonna be perfect. But what's kind of cool is like the people who inspired me to do the stream or to do this to begin with, like Good Mother. Of course, I had a desire to do it before I saw her stream, but I think I first heard or saw her stream like while I was at Walmart. And I was like, well, who is this person talking about all this stuff? And I'm like, wow. And I kept watching the videos and listening and stuff like that. So shout out to GM. It was
you were a pretty good inspiration, a pretty big inspiration for me doing this. Going forward, I'm gonna do live streams with a lot of different content creators. I think I excel in making videos and not in the live streams. But regardless, I'm probably gonna be a little more heavy on the videos as opposed to live streams. But yeah, hope y'all have a good night.